Everyone, welcome back. So, does anyone remember the line, I see dead people, or am I just showing my age? Because the Hunting Party season 2, episode 9 dives straight into that kind of airy territory and somehow makes it emotional, disturbing, and deeply compelling all at once. The episode introduces us to Colette Atkins, played brilliantly by Piper, and she's not your typical serial killer. What makes her story so gripping is the way it blends auditory hallucination with deep rooted family trauma. She hears her dead father speaking to her, guiding her, even encouraging her instead of feeling like pure horror. It creates this strange sense of sympathy, and honestly, those are always the most fascinating kind of thrillers. The one who aren't just evil for the sake of it, but are shaped by their past, their pain, and their environment. Colette fits perfectly into that category. What really stands out is how her trauma is explored. Growing up in a funeral home with a morticial father already sets a dark tone, but it's a relationship with her sister that truly pushed her over the edge. Instead of support, she got fear and ridicule. Her sister would literally taunt her as a child, saying the dead bodies would come after her. It sounds absurd at first, but for a young, impressionable kid, that kind of psychological torment sticks. Even as adults, that dynamic never improved. There's still jealousy, cruelty, and emotional abuse. And when you see Colette finally snap, especially with that chilling moment where she imagines her father encouraging her, it's horrifying, but also tragically understandable. Piper absolutely nails this role. She brings a vulnerability to Colette that makes you feel for her, even when you know what she's done. It's similar to those rare performances where a serial killer doesn't feel like a monster but like someone who desperately needed help and never got it. And the show adds another layer with the whole pit experiment. The idea that they tried to fix her by removing the part of her brain responsible for hearing her father's voice is both fascinating and unsettling. Because in doing so, they didn't cure her, they took away the one thing that made her feel safe. Watching Colette without that voice is honestly heartbreaking. She looks lost, unstable, almost like a child like again. So when the pit recreates her father's voice artificially to manipulate her, it feels cruel even if it's effective. It becomes less about justice and more about control. What's interesting is that Colette isn't driven by typical motives. She's not killing for power or revenge in the usual sense. She's searching for comfort. That's why she targets men who can sing, because their voices remind her of her father. It's unsettling but also deeply sad. The karaoke bar scenes add a strange mix of tension and dark humor. On one hand, it's almost absurd watching her evaluate potential victim based on their singing. On the other, it reinforces just how broken her perception of reality is. Then there's Bex, who really gets pushed to her limits in this episode. She tries to approach Colette with empathy at first, but when time runs out, she's forced to take a much darker route. Locking Colette in a coffin and mimicking her abusive sister voice is intense, and you can tell it's not something Bex is comfortable with. But it works, it breaks Colette psychologically just enough to reveal the location of her latest victim. It's a moment that raises a lot of moral question because, yes, it saves her life, but at what cost? Beyond the main case, the episode also does a great job developing the trio's dynamic. Their relationship always feels like a makeshift family, and here that bond gets tested. Hassani feels betrayed by Sheen for keeping secrets, especially about something as personal as his search for his birth mother. It's not an over the top conflict, but it feels real. Trust doesn't just bounce back instantly, and the show allows the tension to sit and breathe. At the same time, we get lighter moments that balance everything out. The bar scene, the casual drinks, and especially that final moment with Shane singing time after time, it adds warmth and humanity to very dark episode. It's one of those scenes that reminds you why you care about these characters in the first place. And just when things seems to settle, the episode drops another twist. Hassani learns that Lazarus has a hand in pushing Shane's security clearance years ago, which opens up a whole new layer of mystery. What else is Shane hiding, and how far will Hassani go to uncover the truth? Overall, this episode stands out as one of the strongest of the season. It's emotionally complex, morally challenging, and driven by an incredible performance from Piper Perabo. More importantly, it takes a character who could have easily been one-dimensional villain and turns her into someone who can't help but feel for her. And that what's make the hunting party so compelling at its best. It doesn't just tell stories about catching killer, it tells stories about why they become who they are. So what did you think of College Story? Did you find yourself sympathizing with her, or was she too far gone? And what do you think Shane is hiding? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Bye.